Hey everybody! Finally, I went live. Sorry it took so long. It took a minute to set up everything on StreamYard because they're just ass loads of options. Uh, yeah, it's been real. Okay. Um, I don't know how many people are going to watch this. I don't know. It's up in the air. Um, I wanted to cover UFOs today. I know I did that in another podcast on YouTube on my channel, The Skeptical Scotsman, and I ran out of steam in about 45 minutes, and the person who requested it has been a subscriber a while, so I wanted to re-go over it, and that's why I dedicated all of this live stream to that. I've been letting people know I'm going to be going live, so there you go. No, I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to get other people. I've been trying to get people in on this. Let's see here. Give me 2 seconds, people, and I will be with you. Okay, but let's talk about UFOs. UFOs, by definition, are unidentified flying objects or unidentified flying aerials or unidentified aerial objects. Uh, it was called UFOs for decades, like no shit, literally decades. And it's been interesting. I've been doing research and studying stuff for years. So, let's see here. What does that do? Yeah, I've got to experiment with some of this stuff. Shifting 7. What does that do? Yeah, this is my first podcast. I'm podcasting from StreamYard to YouTube so that everything can be seen here. But yeah, first of all, UFOs, UAOs, whatever you want to call them. The reason they're called that is because, of course, they are of extraterrestrial origin, which should be a duh thing, but let's act like we're all duh. Usually, the regarded shapes that I understand are triangles, cigars, cylinders. For some reason, the ones that end up looking cylindrical or kind of cylindrical also end up being shaped exactly like rocks, like the big black rock that everybody thought was a UFO. I'm not sure what happened to that. If you hear noise in the background, my wife's over here on her phone listening to music, and if you hear my youngest, she's in there playing Sonic the Hedgehog on her phone. She's about to be 10, so go figure. And this is the first time in a week, almost 2 weeks, she's been on her phone. And yeah, so don't give her too much crap about being on her phone. When I can figure it out, I'm going to switch this thing to another one here. If I can. Okay, that's puts it full screen on me. Let's see here. Okay, but yeah, now I've got this. Let's see. I'm on full screen mode from my perspective, so I just went from itty bitty chat to I'm the only thing on the screen. I'm going to exit full screen. Yes, I am trying this stuff out while I'm on here. Let's see here. I'm not quite sure how to do videos in here yet, but I think I'll figure that one out. Oh, let's see here. Hi, True Crime Cult. Trying to figure this out. Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. Oh, let's see. But yeah, as far as all this stuff goes, there's also going back to speaking about the UFO stuff. If I remember correctly, there was a book I read back in 1996, which went over the shapes of various UFOs and all that kind of thing. And one of the weirdest things that they spoke out about, or that they mentioned, was a bulb or an orb of light that was projecting electricity from it, like that weird video. Share. Okay. Where's the share button, True Crime Cult? Sorry, there's so much dead air here. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. This is my first podcast on StreamYard directly to YouTube. Okay, let's see if I can do that here. I'm trying to figure out this stuff here right now. Share screen. Oh, well, see, that would have helped in the beginning there. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm trying to get a video up in this thing. I'm doing this with my readers on, what's worse. Okay. Okay. Okay, I guess we'll watch some of this documentary here. I'm probably going to jump in a couple of different things, but okay.
It was light gold in medieval times.
I don't know why this stupid thing is being done.
Oh, not tobacco, sugar.
That everything we thought we knew about the world might turn out to be completely wrong.
Okay, here's the document here.
From the beginning of our history, humanity has gone through a non-stop change of its worldviews. The funny thing is that all along the way, we're always convinced that now we've got it right. So today, now in the early 21st century, you'll talk to scientists who will finally admit that yes, it seems to be possible or even likely that there is intelligent life elsewhere in this universe. However, it's supposed to be impossible for them to get here or for us to get there. And really what this is simply a lack of imagination.
I learned long ago never to second guess the relationship with the visitors. It is the most complex, most contradictory, most extraordinary thing.
What's odd about this is that scientist is calling it calling them visitors, and don't mess with them. I mean, that's a lot of what we've been doing. As far as that goes, let's see. Okay, yeah, I just want to check up on that. Yeah, it's kind of weird how they're treating this one. Let's watch a little bit more here.
that has ever happened to mankind.
I don't talk about UFOs. I can't stand the term. There are no such things. We've known for years what they are.
The government's important because they have the radar systems. They're in a position to collect the data.
People in the national security world are dealing with the fact that this is a lie that has gone now for so long. How do you undo?
The issue with that is we have come since like Roswell. We went from doing okay to flying leaps and bounds. We've covered new technology. And like if you look at the history of jet propulsion, there are three designs for jet engine propulsion. One, I could see one being inspired by UFO technology. I really could. But the other two were just engineers who it just occurred to them. They spent one spent a year drawing it out, and the other one spent 5 years figuring it out. And they went through the physics, the thermodynamics, all the stuff required to do this stuff. And as far as I know, only one design came out on top. I don't remember which one it was because I only watched half of the documentary that was in. But they're acting as though, this is the weird part, is like I've talked to government retired agents, and they're like, okay, you can call them UFOs. I don't, but you can. It's like, why would you be telling me this? Because I'm retired. They can't do anything to me now. Most of the guys I spoke to had been retired some 30 years back in the early to mid 90s. I'm not saying there's a huge government conspiracy, but it just seems rather lacrid to assume it's all done. I spelled that wrong. Grammar Nazis are coming to kill me. Okay. Okay, now we're going to play this again.
Such a long-standing series of deceptions.
I've met contactees in France, in Italy, in Switzerland. These people are telling stories that are so abnormal they could never make them up.
Tao Being says, thank you for giving us your children.
This is a controversial practice. And honestly, I don't know whether to believe it or not. Hence the skeptical. I realize the skeptical is spelled wrong because it has a C instead of a K. But when the only real experience like this that I watched and actually believed in is in the movie with Hilary Swank. I believe it's called The Fourth Kind. And if they edited the video, if they've managed to edit the video to make it look creepy or whatever, okay, I get that. But I've seen a lot of footage over the years, and I mean, I've been looking at this stuff for 30 years and always been fascinated by it. But I got to a point where when the series Ancient Aliens came about, my problem with Ancient Aliens, the series, is every answer that they give has to be wrapped around UFOs and ancient alien technology. That's the issue I have with it. It's not the fact that I don't agree with some of the assumptions they make, but this seems to be all they go to. Every answer has to be UFOs. Everything has to be, the aliens started it, and we're just blah, I'll get back to the video here in a second, but I really do hate these psychoanalytic sessions where the person is supposed to be, recovering repressed memories, like being abducted and whatnot. I don't like the flavor it leaves in my mouth. I don't know about you guys, but I just don't like the flavor it leaves in my mouth. Hold on a second, I gotta get a drink here. Ugh. And the sad part is for me, I'm not saying for you, for me, I see this as just acting in a play or acting in a TV show, acting in a movie with your eyes closed. That's all I see it as. I don't see it as a great performance. It's a little town theater, where the guy overacts and everything. And no, I don't believe every story that I've seen. I've seen dozens of these, and I'm not buying the load of it. The majority of it to me seems like really bad failed actors doing this series because they're getting paid to do the series by whatever channel's funding it. All right, we'll keep on going.
I remember them putting a needle through my optic nerve, and they were able to put something in the back of my eye.
These things are apparently placed in individuals by an advanced intelligence that has a...
Okay. If you haven't noticed, in all these cases, these are tiny chunks. They're not like nano cameras or anything. If they're that advanced, I doubt they'd be causing you pain. That's just my take on that. And you'll notice in these clips that they're showing really fast, really insanely grainy footage. They don't have like a high definition camera shot of it, and they probably never see that because the technology at the time, well, we're talking home video recorders back in the 90s, didn't have that great a resolution. Sorry, my wife keeps on chunking for ice. She has this ridiculous thing about chewing ice. I don't get it, but yeah, implanting little granules of metal inside somebody's skull. I'm not sure I buy that, but then again, being skeptical. Hello, okay, let's keep on going here.
Science that's far beyond our own.
There was a point like 10 years ago or 12 years ago where I got to see what I call my daughter, which was an extraction of me mingled with their genetics.
Did anybody besides me just notice that? Go back like what, 2 seconds here?
Individuals by an advanced intelligence
get past the metal part.
A science that's far beyond our own.
There was a point like 10 years ago or 12.
Is it me or is that guy? If you look at that guy while he's talking, it looks like he's reading off of a card. I'm not sure what to think about that one. Yes, I know it could seem like I'm being dickish, but I'm watching this guy and his eyes, because we have so many commercials here locally in the town I live in, where you can see when people are reading off a teleprompter or reading off of a card, that guy looks like he's reading off of a card. And then they've got these weird illustrations like that. Yeah, I'm going to be skeptical about it. Okay, now to get back to this. Okay, now if you watch him while he's talking,
12 years ago where I got to see what I call my daughter, which was an extraction of me mingled with their genetics.
I think that they may have been using me to produce hybrid offspring from the time of my first menses on throughout young adult.
Former radar operator. Why would they be kidnapping U.S. Air Force personnel to take their eggs? I mean, if they've got enough technology to remove eggs and put rocks and put detection whatevers that look like just small rocks or metallic objects up in your skull, you'd think they'd be able to scan people and find out what genetics they want instead of just abducting people. You'd think if they can cross interstellar space and do all this other stuff, that's something else they should be able to do. Let's keep on. Let me check for comments here. Okay. Let's keep on going here.
We put animals in cages. We take chimpanzees and do medical experiments on them. The justification we use, it's no longer just if somebody else uses it on us.
If you're observing the evolution of a planet and you were looking at it as an experiment that you could quantify, you would try to take samples all along the evolution.
And they sent a beam that hit me in the chest with 3 gold balls of energy, which was to restore my memories. And that was on a ship that was non-physical. It's more of a plasma ship.
Okay. I'm not trying to be the asshole here, but they're going to try to run interstellar distances and take stuff out of your body or possibly put it in, and then they're going to send 3 balls of energy into your body to restore your memory. If they're that good to have to deal with energy, why do they need to remove any of your body? They should just have scanning technology which replicates DNA and flesh if they're that advanced, right? I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just pointing out certain things that are hitting me. I should really do this for commercials, huh? But yeah, it's you're in a beam of light. You're getting hit in the chest and all that, and they send 3 balls of light, balls of energy, which restore your memory. Okay. As far as I know, you wouldn't respond like that to, oh, now I remember all this stuff. They deleted my memory. If they're doing it with balls of energy that go into you, why are they harvesting human organs? Why are they mutilating cows, supposedly? Just questions to bring up. Okay, let's get back to it here now.
What is the effect on a person's life who's had abduction experiences all of their lives? The effects can be profound on people in ways that they don't even fully understand. It's a club that nobody wants to belong to.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local recordings.
Which I love commercials, people.
Eyewitness sightings that occur.
See, here's a disc.
The Hidden Hand explores a new paradigm.
UFOs, just like the ones I was talking about, cigar and triangle shaped. You have this classic shape, and this is like the second most reported shape for UFOs, other than triangles. I don't know why. And there's one that got reported like a year ago that was shaped kind of like a walnut, kind of like in what's that movie, The Traveler? Anyway, let's keep on going.
Paradigm of consciousness taking root within humanity.
The Air Force put out the Blue Book on hundreds and hundreds of flying saucer cases. And you look in the Blue Book and it goes about saying, yes, somebody saw something here, but it was swamp gas. Ignore the fact that it was in the middle of the desert.
And swamp gas, I think they're talking about Roswell with that one, with it being swamp gas, or somebody filled it up with filled a balloon up with swamp gas and tested how it floats and all. I'm not buying that. Now, here's a small tidbit you didn't know. I did some looking into the Roswell incident, and everybody's like, well, it's going to be classified after blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. There's a designation that's beyond classified, top secret, blah, 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 blah. There's a bunch of micro designations for that stuff. But I found a file name that can be literally, once it's upgraded to this file designation name, it can be kept from the public indefinitely. It's like a permanent classified designation. HUX. If it's designated HUX, boom, automatically you don't get a say in what the hell happens. It doesn't matter if Congress tries to go after them. They're going to kick it around because they don't have to release anything to anybody. But yeah, people saying it's swamp gas in the middle of the desert, or when people say, well, it's static electricity in the Arctic. Yes, I've kept up with stuff over the years. But yeah, let's keep on going here. This is, if this gets too redundant with this crap, then I'll switch it over to like Ancient Aliens, or look up another video that's more suited to what's going on.
They came up to the conclusion, basically, there's no such thing as flying saucers.
In December 2007, the Ministry of Defense made a policy decision that it was going to release its entire archive of UFO files. One of the most interesting UFO reports to have been released so far is a first-person account from Major Milton Torres, a retired United States Air Force pilot who in 1957 was given an order to scramble to intercept a massive UFO that was being tracked on military radar.
The minute I checked in with the GCI site, he told me this is a hot mission. It will be firing 24 rockets. And they said, we'd like to inform you that this object is an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, UFO.
I got my final vector at altitude, where I first picked up this huge blip, which is about the size of an aircraft carrier. And then I locked on immediately, and I followed it up until about 4 seconds to go. And that's when it took off and accelerated to something like around Mach 10.
Starting to love these ads. Okay, just so we're clear, Mach 10 is, if you're up, no matter where you are on Earth, that's, I believe, like 7,000 miles an hour. So you're talking about going from 300 to 700 miles an hour to 7,000 miles. When Mission Impossible, when Top Gun Maverick came out, I actually looked up how fast Mach 10 was. And I tried to look up, will your skin liquefy, or will you be... That's the issue with Mach 10, since it's never been designatedly done in an unclassified manner. We don't know if humans can even survive getting to Mach 10 in a split second, or if we'll liquefy, or even like if we eject like Tom Cruise did at Mach 10.2 or 3, if he would even survive that. I don't believe he would. You're going from 7,000 miles an hour to what, 100 in a matter of 5 or 6 seconds. I personally think that the speed alone would rip all the protective clothing off. Probably do some internal organ damage, because you're talking about a G-force of probably unfathomable strength. But yeah, I looked up Mach 10. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. I'm gonna look it up on here while I'm on here with you guys. Oh, let's see. I know I'm doing weird stuff here. Gotta love it when my wife has got her earphones on. Okay, Mach 10 is okay. Mach 10 is 7,672.69 miles per hour. That I know of, no human has ever, no human in a human-built aircraft could withstand that. I know that some people are tested at going at Mach like 6 or 7. But yeah, I don't honestly think that they, I don't think they test anybody for Mach 10 speeds, because you're talking, I don't even think the centrifuge could get that fast. But let's keep on going. I just want to throw in about the Mach 10 thing. Mach 10 is 7,000 plus miles an hour. Like if I did that, my ears would probably be bleeding from my ears popping. I probably have compression sickness from the gases in my blood separating. You know, kind of like diver sickness or something. But yeah, let's keep on going.
The old timers, they were there and presumably involved in the details of the Roswell experience. Only after I'd been to the moon and had become somewhat of a celebrity and came back, and they had knowledge of the Roswell incident that they were afraid to talk about because it had been threatened by authority, and they wanted to talk about it, and they didn't want to carry their knowledge to the grave. What they said, yes, the Roswell incident was real. It was truly an alien craft.
I've never heard of a hexagonal shape myself. That's just me. Yeah, I haven't heard of it. Have you guys heard of any otter shapes? So far, we've covered cigar, cylinder, rock. They look like triangles, and then you got flying saucers, the disc shape. Have you guys heard of any other shapes? I mean, I'm sure there are, but we're kind of back in the day with that. Okay, let's see. Keep going here.
Some that had observed bodies or been a part of that said, yes, there were bodies involved. We went to the Pentagon, and eventually we had confirmed that they knew that what we were telling was true.
My name is James Peniston. I was the security officer that was in charge of RAF Woodbridge security on the night of December 26, 1980.
Don't you love the ominous music that they have going on right there? Let's see. Try to get this camera positioned a little bit better here. That seems to be good right there. Okay. True crime cult left? Huh. Anyway, I'm going to keep on going. Let's see here.
I did a walk around, paced it off, and measured 9 feet by 9 feet by 9 feet. Then as I came around the far side of the craft, I seen what looked like writing on the side. So
Is it me, or does that look like one of those, vaguely like one of those paper boat things that they used to do back in the day? Like, my parents knew how to make those. My parents tried getting all of Gen X into making those. Um, some of us do know how to make the little boat hat things, but this looks like what that is. But I don't understand why they would have markings on the outside in a different language if they're traveling at Mach 10. That would kill their ability to do Mach 10 that I'm aware of. But let's keep on going.
So I figured it was identifying marks. I was looking for things like it's the United States Air Force or NASA. And as I got closer to it, I seen that it was pictorials. It was not writing. Then as I touched those glyphs, I was blinded by ones and zeros that was being transmitted. The craft lifted up with no sound and then took off in a blink of an eye.
There are many and various non-human groups and races that are interacting with the Earth and have been all along. You know, I love it when people look out into the night sky and see that blaze of stars and they think they're looking at a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what's in this universe. And they say, do you think we're alone? Are you kidding? I mean, just have another look.
Yeah, see, this is, our universe is way too big, and we can barely see, even with our most advanced technology, we can only see so damn far. And from a universal perspective, people that say, well, we might be the first ones alive and conscious and made it to in 14 billion years or so thereabouts. I think it's like 14.3 billion years, some weird outrageous number like that. Galaxies have formed, and there are certain galaxies that have probably been formed, fully formed in everything since the Big Bang occurred. Now, the only issue with people saying that we're alone in the universe, why would we have an indefinite amount of space that we don't properly know how to define? That doesn't make any sense. But let's keep going. I do love the ominous music, though. It's just funny as hell to me.
En México no existe una persecución del fenómeno. El fenómeno es visto de una manera amistosa. Si este fenómeno aparece en los Estados Unidos o en Europa, los objetos son perseguidos. Sabemos muy bien que esta presencia se incrementó de manera importante a partir de la detonación de las bombas atómicas en Hiroshima y Nagasaki. No conozco la agenda de estos seres, pero es muy claro.
I'm kind of at a loss because that almost looks like a plate was spun and then videoed and edited into the video, because why would it be so wobbly? It doesn't make any sense. They can travel transgalactic distances. They can go thousands, if not millions of miles an hour. Maybe they have wormhole assistance, who knows? But they can't keep a ship steady? I'm not completely convinced on this one here.
Los videos son cada vez más espectaculares.
See, it gets past a certain point and then it
Y al
starts
mismo
wobbling.
tiempo, la situación del mundo es cada vez más grave. Hay una correlación. Entre más grave es la situación, más cerca están.
there is an overwhelming abundance of evidence in terms of documentation showing that there has been an unexplained phenomenon interacting with the militaries of this world for a very long time. That this phenomenon has been taken seriously by the highest level national security people, and that they've developed the topic in secrecy. They've misrepresented it to the public time and again. It's obvious that there's something important happening here with technology that, frankly, is not supposed to exist.
One of the biggest problems here is secrecy itself, because if you can't get access to the information...
We're going to switch videos here because this is more of a conspiracy style video. Oh, buddy, we got some weird ones on here now. Let's see, unveiled. Let's see what this has to offer here.
When you hear the word
sorry
alien,
about the commercials.
Picture in your head. Are they short or tall, green or gray? And what key features do they have? If people who claim to have actually met aliens are to be believed, then there are certainly good and bad kinds out there, but also many different types. So you need to know how to distinguish between them.
He's not lying. I've heard from certain other people that different kinds of aliens can be malevolent. Wow. But yeah. If they're good aliens, there also have to be bad aliens. You don't necessarily want bad aliens kidnapping us as a species, but there have got to be other kinds. I mean, it takes an idiot to assume that the aliens are going to look exactly like us at every stage of evolution, and that we are the end product of any kind of evolution there is. It's simply not true. It's just too much diversity for that to happen, at least scientifically speaking. But here we go.
This is Unveiled, and today we're taking a closer look at the different types of alien you should know about. Do you need the big questions answered? Are you constantly curious? Then why not subscribe to Unveiled for more clips like this one, and ring the bell
I'm
for
not
more
saying to
thought-provoking
subscribe to
content.
them. I'm just going over this video because I can't do anything else about it.
Scientifically speaking, no one truly knows what aliens are going to look like. And any version of life that develops on other planets could well be drastically different from our own.
That is
With just
true.
a sample of one to build from, life on Earth, it's difficult to calculate or even predict what the rest of space could have in store.
And that is an actual statement of fact. They cannot, we can't reasonably fathom, for the most part, the public can't reasonably fathom what aliens are going to look like, because they're not growing in the exact same environment and conditions and timing and, you know, tectonic plate formation and amino acid development that we did. It's not going to happen. Shouldn't happen that way, because I don't think it's that damn random. But yeah, let's keep on going here.
Besides presumably infinite variety. However, there are those on Earth who claim to have already seen aliens, sometimes via an alien abduction. Survivors of these encounters have differing stories, but the most common themes include scientific experiments, invasive probing, and the taking of samples, sometimes via quite intimate means.
And why, like that guy said in the video before, they sent balls of energy into him, and that gave him back his memory. If they are that advanced, they shouldn't need to do invasive things unless they're malevolent. If their intention is to do harm, then yes, they will. But if with all this technology we're talking about that they supposedly have, if they're good to know if if they're our kind of aliens, so to speak. If they're peaceful, they already know how to do everything without having to interfere with our bodies. The evil ones, the malevolent ones, they're going to cause as much pain as they can, if they can. Mulan, damn! My daughter's cat. Apparently it feels the need to eat 8 times a day, but anyway, back to the video.
While the overall narratives often overlap, however, what an alien physically looks like can vary. There apparently are different types to contend with, and with some surprises. For example, although the image of little green men has long been popular in society and science fiction,
not the only kind of alien.
Reported abduction cases rarely include such a creature. Other alien kinds are much more common in sightings. The Greys are by far the most popular depiction among those claiming to have met with aliens.
And I will agree with that. Greys are the most popular. It's kind of insane. Like, you can call me whatever you want on this one, but I don't care. The ones that I have seen personally, if I remember right, were Greys. And they weren't malevolent or anything like that. Let's keep going.
In real life, they're described as having a generally humanoid composition and sharing certain...
But see, I don't recall them being that body shape. Like, some of the elongations are real, but that muscular body, no. The ones I saw looked kind of like that, but they weren't like muscular. They were more like the one in the previous clip. They were normal height. They weren't like this weird prototype build or whatever. Whatever this exact look is, they weren't that. So let's keep on going here.
Characteristics with us, although they're often shorter, have larger heads, bigger, darker eyes, and a distinctly gray skin tone. This particular alien won't be unfamiliar to you. The Greys are still today sci-fi favorites and something of a worldwide phenomenon. Going from most abduction accounts, they don't usually speak as such, but instead communicate telepathically from their mind to yours. The Greys aren't usually overly hostile, but they're not averse to causing an abductee pain either, so long as they get the information they want.
That's right, you get a red
Can't help the ads here. I don't know why they put so many damn ads up on YouTube. Plug's been watching a lot of YouTube shorts and other videos.
Similarly, the Greys are said to be extremely intelligent but lacking emotion. So even if they're not ill-meaning, they are ruthless. As such, abductees claim
I'm not sure the Greys are like that. Samples. Give me this one moment here. Oh, shnikes. So I don't have to hear it going off. Because I am still on my stream.
I didn't know what was going on.
Seemingly in order to create hybrids. And their rise to become perhaps the archetype for what an alien should look like, at least during the 20th century, can be traced back to one of the most infamous abduction stories in history, that of Betty and Barney Hill in 1961. While it was the Greys, too, who were supposedly at the center of the Roswell crash in 1947. According to a map remembered by Betty.
Now, see, as far as I'm aware, the alien from the Roswell tape, or whatever the hell you want to call this thing, that is not what an ET officially looks like. That has been touted by several people I know since this video came out in the late 90s or mid-90s. I've literally met people who said that they staged this. They did this elaborate thing where, like, they put parts of us, they put like cut off the suction cups off of a squid or an octopus, and put them in this cadaver body or whatever. They did whatever they wanted on this cadaver, and did whatever, and made it, and then made this video. And this video has come to epitomize what aliens are supposed to look like, feel like, all this other crap. I saw this video when it got when they released it on TV back in the 90s. And yeah, it's not so much disturbing. Back then it was. Like back then it was stomach turning. I know people who watched the UFO autopsy and puked. They told me while I was on the phone with them that they'd thrown up to that because it was so gruesome. But back then it was shocking. Now you can find videos like this everywhere because special effects. There we go.
Hill, a map she claims to have seen as a projection inside an unknown alien ship. Her grays, at least, came from the far-off binary star system of Zeta Reticuli. If true, they've traveled many, many light years to become humankind's Alien 101. Another version of ETs, though, is much more animalistic to our eyes. Rather than smooth all over like the grays, they can be scaly, armored, and less humanoid.
Now, see, that's another thing we can't wrap our heads around. We think of like the lizard people, and the lizard people are supposedly camouflaging themselves. God knows using what, but they're supposed to be. Most of the accounts that I've heard about them they're supposed to be more into providing pain for us than just studying us, if you will.
Variously known as the Archons, Saurians, or Draconians. And while descriptions differ in science fiction and in claimed real-world encounters, these beings are generally said to be a few feet taller than us. Again, the stories of them do differ, but they're usually said to be ancient and far longer lived than we are. It's said that they walked the surface of Earth thousands, perhaps millions of years before humanity did, but were in fact forced underground by the arrival of another type of alien in our planet's distant past called the Anunnaki. In some retellings, the Anunnaki are closer to God than alien, and are alleged.
I think they've jumped a train track in this video. They've hopped over one entire segment because the technology is so advanced. Like, as of today, if we were to go back into very ancient times, we're talking beyond 2,000 years ago, say we went back 5,000 years ago, and unless you've got some amazing engineering, you go to some of the more outlying areas where there's not big towns and crap, and you take a flip out knife or a switchblade, it's going to seem like magic. He pressed a button and a knife came out. Ooga booga, that's magic. It's science. We don't understand. If aliens were visiting us way back in the past, their technology would literally look like magic. And we're not talking Penn and Teller magic. We're talking like, okay, I'm going to take your eyeball and you won't feel it. You can still see, but you see your eyeball leave. Because maybe because they put a micro transmitter in there without you knowing about it, transported it there. I don't know. It's why it seems like magic. You would see your eyeball go to them, and they could touch your eyeball, and it would be perfect again, and then send it back to you, and you'd see it go back in your eye. It might hurt, but you would feel it and everything like that. So yeah, it's bizarre. Ugh. But the Anunnaki thing is just going a little bit too far because, well, they were like gods. No, they just had ancient the technology from back then, which was horribly bad, versus alien technology even from today's standard, which is that advanced. We're getting closer to the alien technology that we're talking about or seeing, but back then it would have been like magic, literally. All right, let's get back to it.
To have hailed from the lost planet Nibiru. But whatever they were, they allegedly triggered these previous aliens to retreat and hide in a large, complex, and until now undiscovered cave system far below the Earth's crust. Of course, until now, there is no real-world evidence of any such thing, and indeed, it's a general idea that has gone on to fuel many a modern and dangerous conspiracy theory. However, some have also drawn comparison between these alternate aliens and the revered gods of ancient times. The Egyptians, for example, worshipped a god called Sobek that possessed a...
Now, see, that's one of those things. I made that connection back when I was like 8 years old, studying aliens and stuff like that. I was a really bizarre child. I read books on everything, and when people talked about the lizard people or whatever, this is what I can join that to, because it made sense to join. Okay, the Egyptian gods have these animal heads, and so do these aliens, because alien theology back in the 80s was fucking rampant, and I don't mean kinda, it was rampant. But let's keep on going.
A humanoid figure, but the head of an alligator, while similar animal-human entities appear across other belief systems too. Rumors of such creatures in the here and now could also relate to various claimed sightings of straight-up monsters all over the world map.
At Dillon's, the proven
And of
quality
course,
of
ads
Kroger brand
pop up
products will make you feel
again.
like you're winning.
Gotta love YouTube, right?
In one case, there's the legend of the lizard man of Scape Ore Swamp in South Carolina, who's said to target unsuspecting passersby, and in particular, stranded cars and their drivers. But finally, and while the invading Greys and Saurians perhaps should be easy to spot in the open, so-called Nordic aliens probably wouldn't be. In fact, a defining characteristic of them is that they should seamlessly blend with humankind, because they're an extremely close physical match for us. In some cases, they're described as resembling the Norse gods, like Thor, who himself might be considered a Nordic alien were he to ever...
I think that we're going the route of ancient aliens with this Nordic thing. Yes, I've heard of aliens who look like us, only what you might call a sexy alien. Blonde hair, blue eyed, they look like they're Aryan or Nordic. I get it. Do I believe they exist? I don't know. I haven't seen one of those. I've seen a gray, but the gray was average height, skinny, but average height, and wasn't all muscled up. They have muscles, but they're not like, they don't look like what it showed earlier. That's the part that irritates me, is when they do that. Here we go. And I don't think that Thor was some ancient alien either. But let's keep going.
Appear on our planet. Further Norse variations include the Plejarans, which are said to have originated in a bright and bursting star cluster known as the Pleiades. While other alien types, humanoid or not, are generally painted as having a...
Just for reference, that's Pleiades, not whatever the hell he said. It seems like these programs that come up with generated voices do not know how to describe things. It's Pleiades, not whatever the hell he's talking about. Why there's so wide a variance of pronunciation. That's like when I found out that the Hebrides are actually called the Hebrides. I read it and I'm like, okay, this is the Hebrides Islands. No, it's actually called the Hebrides. The only reason I know that is because Angus McGaskill was there at one point. Look up Angus McGaskill. I promise you won't regret it. It's one of those things that there's not enough information about him, but dude was huge. Okay, moving on. I just want to clear up the Pleiades.
A clearly frightening or unique appearance, Nordics are much subtler, which in itself perhaps makes them a little scarier, although they're widely said to be benevolent and good rather than evil. Like the Greys, Nordic aliens are said to heavily rely on psychic energy. They communicate telepathically and can also live for thousands of years or more. Again, then, they're presented as beings of infinite wisdom.
I want to know where they're getting this information from. It seems kind of made up to me. I mean, I get living longer lifespans, but just because you can speak just because you can communicate by thought doesn't mean that you do it all the time. And at the transference speed that would require, if they've developed it into literally a telepathy basis kind of thing, then you're talking about literal gigabytes, if not terabytes of information in seconds. So you're talking about 12 people coming together to have a conference, and they're sitting there for about, I don't know, 5 to 15 minutes, and they come up with a resolution. And when anybody asked what they talk about, they didn't. They just thought about it, and they communicated their thoughts with each other. You're talking about terabytes of information in minutes. I mean, that's enough to completely wipe out several computers all at the same time just in the first 5 minutes alone because of all the information being transferred. So I don't know where the hell they're getting that one, how they would even know this. If it's just speculation, state that it's speculation at best, because we don't know. And yeah, I don't like stating crap that we don't know, especially when it comes to this, because we don't have a damn clue.
Wisdom compared to humans. They're also at times linked with or crossed over with so-called Venusian aliens, said to come from Venus with startling beauty. It's as though, when they appear in alien encounter stories, Nordic and Venusian aliens are a reflection of humankind, usually at its best. And some versions of alien lore suggest that the Nordics do cross paths with the Greys. Here, the Greys are emotionless but efficient, while Nordic aliens are emotionally astute and much more cognitively complex. Which is another reason why this type of alien, if it is out there, would be difficult to spot. Nordics wouldn't struggle with anything about the human way of life. In fact, they'd probably be better at it than even we are. Of course, such a...
I have to argue that point. If they're that far ahead of us, unless they've studied and trained amongst us or a simulation of us, if these aliens do exist like that, if they've trained for it and studied for it, and they got here in the time era that they're supposed to be coming to or entering into, which would also suggest time travel to a certain extent. If they've studied it and done everything else, done simulators and all this stuff, that means they should be able to fit in. They're going to fit in properly. But if we're talking just taking a Nordic alien who hasn't been taught how to communicate with like us from right now, and they were just to fall into the middle of like a fair, a festival, or a parade, they would stick out like they would generally start sticking out like a sore thumb on their behavior. Their looks, no, fit in like nothing else. Their behavior and language would shout out something else completely, unless they underwent training and simulators of us as we are right now, which makes no sense, because then they would have to back, if they were training somewhere else, or they'd have to have a massive ship like behind somewhere and be training with holograms programmed to be like us, blah, 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 blah. I'm not buying into that system. I mean, yeah, am I saying they're aliens? Yes. Am I saying I know everything about them? Hell no. But this program seems to suggest that they know everything. So let's keep on going here.
Is the rich diversity of reported alien history, this still isn't all there is. Other rarer and lesser-known alien varieties allegedly include a race known as the Arcturians. These are perhaps the ET type that is closest to the little green men stereotype, said to stand around 5 feet tall with big ancient eyes and green skin. Another more obscure reported variety is the avians, a bird-like species, often with a bluish color, that features in some much contested retellings of how the pyramid...
Yeah, see, I don't buy that kind of alien right at the moment. I've heard of them, like they were obscure even back when I was a kid. But they seem like a hallucination or a fabrication, and I'm not buying these huge winged things helping build pyramids. I'm not seeing it. You're talking about carrying 10 tons, and if this winged thing, these flying aliens or whatever, weighed 10 to 20 tons and they had hollow bones, so then they're huge, but that doesn't mean they're going to be able to carry 10-ton blocks, like we're thinking of it, they would have to be fucking gigantic, like massive to do that. Here we go.
Thankfully, both the Arcturians and the Avians are generally said to be kind and to come in peace, and often, allegedly, to help us lowly humans reach some kind of spiritual awakening. But what's your verdict? We know that alien abduction stories are becoming commonplace in the modern day. The skepticism that surrounds them perhaps isn't likely to disappear until an alien presence on Earth is officially recognized the world over. But until then, we have mounting descriptions to add color, texture, mood, and motivation to our ever-growing and shared mental image of what these things might be. Because
let's see here. We're going to do another one of these. There are way too many things going on there. Let's see here. Okay. Just back on me, okay? I'm not being an egotist. I just, you don't want to do too much of anything. Now, we covered the shapes of extraterrestrials. We covered some of the species. Yes, there are some, for some reason, they've got an alien on that one video that looks like somebody from the Na'vi from Avatar. Sorry, it took me a second. I'm trying to remember the name of like 3 different movies at the same time. But I don't think we're going to find that, at least not in our lifetime. We're lucky if we make it out of our solar system in the next 200 years, unless we get intervention from a more advanced species. Now, what one of those videos is saying about us not being able to, we have a problem with our imaginations because we only want to see aliens that look like us, and not all aliens look like us. Most aliens don't look. Most aliens would look kind of like us, maybe, but I wouldn't go cashing in all your chips just on that. Seriously, I wouldn't. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. You don't have to believe it. You can think I'm a quack. You can think I'm a freak. You can think whatever. I don't care. But I was asked by a subscriber if I was going to share my experience. And I think it's about time. I've been YouTubing for 5 years, something like that. I've been doing this a while. And she's a subscriber, and she asked me to, if I had any experiences and would I share them. It's about time. Okay, and this is going to seem bizarre, weird, and you don't have to believe me. I don't care if you don't believe me. I mean, shit, look at my name. The Sceptical Scotsman. Like, where is it? Yeah, right here. The Sceptical Scotsman. I encourage you to stay skeptical. And thank you for sticking with me, True Crime Cult. I thank you. We're going to go back to Goddard, Kansas, 1989 to 91, I believe it is. I was in foster care, and I was living with this pastor and his wife in a 3 or 4 bedroom, 3-story house. And one night I get up, because I was known for getting up and staying up and being a stubborn jackass like that. And one night I get up and go outside because there's no alarm set in the house. They didn't set the alarm in the house because it's Goddard back in the fucking 80s, the late 80s, early 90s. And we're talking, it's your average day where there's a little bit of light because there's a field over by where my foster parents live. And I walk out the back door, walk past the garage, And there's this field of, I don't know if it was corn or I think it was just hay or some crap. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a farmed field. Literally, one of the people owned it, and they just mowed it and whatnot. And I know because I caught him one of the 2 or 3 summers I was there, mowing down the grass, and we're talking like the mower he had to use was ginormous. But he had cut that down, and so we're talking the grass or whatever the hell was growing, because it was gray when it was growing. This is about, mind you, I'm like what, 9 to 11 back then. So this grass is coming up to maybe my shins, like middle of my lower leg. So you're talking maybe 10 inches if you're lucky, and that's a huge luck thing. I was weirded out because on the far end of this field, we called it a field, on the far end of it was this, what looked to become some sort of weird craft. It kind of looked like it roughly, and I mean very roughly, looked like the walnut-shaped it looked like the walnut-shaped craft from the Traveler or whatever from the 80s. You know, get around. Okay. And I'll invite you, True Crime Cult, in after I finish this personalized story, okay? I was walking across the field. We used to play baseball, football, every sport you could think of in this very field. And I was walking. I got about halfway across this field and realized there was this lit door. I thought it was somebody's garage because some people had gates on the back of their fenced-in yards. So I thought it was one of them with their garage doors open. No. This was a ramp. I could see these huge poles coming down from it. And the closer I got, I could make out beings. And I think I got, 200 feet away, maybe? This is a pretty big field. I mean, it's not gigantic. It's not like, well, you could fit Intrust Bank Arena parking lot and all into it, but it wasn't so big that you could maybe take off with a small airplane. It wasn't that damn big. But I got close enough, and this craft, I guess you'd want to call it, was like approximately 2 to 3 stories tall. I want to say about 2.5 stories tall, like 2 stories and a half, like a loft level or something. It wasn't that big. But mind you, I'm looking at very bright light. So I may have, had issues. And this is back when I was 8. I'm 43 now. So getting back to it, I got close enough to see beings, and they looked like regular human beings in weird masks. But I saw them, and back then, when I saw this, it was before it was before my ear surgery. My 3 ear bones are stainless steel wires. And I wasn't hearing great then either, but it saved my hearing, because otherwise I would be completely deaf in this ear, in my in my left ear completely because it was a genetic defect which skipped my dad's generation and hit me full on. As far as I know, I'm the only kid who suffered from this ailment. But I heard them talking, and it wasn't English. It wasn't. It was completely. It was more like a weird mix of just gibberish, garbled gibberish, and maybe German. It was a glottal language. Like you can't just talk, speak it from the front of your mouth. Sounds, an actual language. It sounded more glottal, which makes me think it's more German, looking back on it now, than it was anything else. Oh, okay. And they were built like skinny people. Like if you know the guy, if you watch Star Trek Discovery, and the big tall guy with the hooves, I forget what his name is. He was his body type. It's slender, not really muscular, just skinny. That's what they looked more like. It was very thin, with slightly oversized heads. But yeah, okay. Now I'm gonna have. See if I can get a True Crime Cult in here. I sent the link to the chat, or the link into the chat, True Crime Cult. So let me see here. Boom. Trying to get it in there. Let's see here. Are you there? Are you there? What am I doing wrong? Okay, hold on. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. How you doing?
Okay, there you are. I'm trying to learn incredibly fast. I have a really low bell curve for learning, so
Yeah.
I mean I figured out how to do this in like 5 minutes. So yeah.
I already know this.
Okay, now I realized the beginning was complete crap. How did you enjoy my personal experience with a UFO and aliens?
Well, that was just kind of weird.
Why
Did
was
they
it
take you to
weird?
their mothership?
No, I didn't actually go in. I'm sure they may have detected me around the ship. I don't know. But it's not one of those experiences like I learned immediately upon when I got out of foster care and went back home that you didn't talk about that kind of crap to a lot of people because people would flay you to death. And then DCF would get called. I just got back home. I didn't want that crap. you had DECA and
No.
DCF, SRS, all that shit. You learn not to talk about certain things very quickly. And am I saying I'm an alien expert? Fuck no. But have I done my research and reading? Hell yes.
No, you probably get called a conspiracy. You probably get called a nut job and thrown into, and the men with the white coats will come and get you.
No, they never came and got me. I was apparently when I started telling that story to a few friends. The next thing you know, I'm being suggested to be put on medications, which I didn't need. And then the counselor at the school I was going to suggested that I had an active imagination, which at the time I wouldn't, looking back at it, I wouldn't blame them for assuming so. But they also wouldn't believe me if I told them I saw a tile fall out of the sky and there's a hole there now. Chicken Little. But actually telling the truth instead of being Chicken Little. The sky is fine. No, a tile fell out of the sky. There's a hole right where it fell from. Don't believe me? Go look. That kind of thing. Like, they wouldn't believe me even if I did tell them the truth because they're too lazy to go fucking look,
Yeah.
I mean, how did you like this expose wannabe thing or this podcast thus far? Because so far I made it past an hour, and
I mean, I like it. I think you're doing a pretty good job after just the first time using StreamYard.
Yeah. What's sadder is I read some stuff up on it, and people were a lot of people apparently get confused their first time. But I've had to juggle so many damn things with a computer.
Yeah.
That now it's just like it's second nature to figure crap out on the quick. They're like this week, because I work so much, why I worked more this week than usual. But I have to figure stuff out on the fly. And after this week, I took a nap before I started this up because I'm like, apparently I closed my eyes for a second and I was gone for 2 hours.
Oh wow!
But I have to figure this stuff out, and it's a little daunting trying to figure this whole thing out. But I looked up the stuff on this site, up on StreamYard, and a lot of people have they take a while to figure this out. Like, I did what most people did in a week in like 5 minutes. And just to say out to True Crime Cult, good job on the Ed Kemper video. I actually watched more than 5 minutes of it. No, I actually watched it. I was reading on Wikipedia, looking at different sites, and unfortunately, one of the people you had in your group was wrong because he said his IQ was 149. His IQ was in fact 140, and that's just 10 points past the genius level. I can't figure out what scale that was, but
he's for being a homicidal maniac. He is a very smart man, Ed Kemper.
Yeah, he belong. We can talk about all that later. I'll just end it on. He is in the top 1 or 2% of all serial killers who are smarter than everybody who's questioned them. Even the professors, the people with doctorate degrees in psychology. He's smarter than they are because he's looking at himself and able to go back and reverse diagnose himself in retrospect. Okay, let's get on with the UFO talk here. Now, are you aware of any other shapes other than like the ball of energy, cigar, cylinder, triangle, or flying saucer? Generic flying saucer shape.
I've heard that there's a pyramid shape, like a small pyramid shape.
Okay, now, stupid question. When did you hear about that?
I was watching Ancient Aliens the other day, and
apparently it's become a thing since like 2003 that all of a sudden pyramid shaped pyramid. I'm bad at trying to make that shape right now. Pyramid shaped UFOs have now become a thing, and it's odd that it happened just a few years after Stargate was released, because when Stargate started becoming a series,
Yeah.
all of a sudden pyramid-shaped UFOs started making a surge in appearances. I myself don't buy that, but you keep going on it. You were saying,
Yeah. Remember when I was a kid, we were coming back from a Christmas party at the now defunct Love Box Company. And
wow,
I
that's
was
some
laying
old
down
shit.
in the back. Yeah, I was laying down in the back seat of my parents' car, and I looked out the window. Looked out the side window, and I saw an object in the sky, and it had red, blue, and yellow lights moving around in a circle at the bottom of the
Okay.
track. And yeah, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like a weather balloon or something. And then I heard my mom go, tell my dad, "Hey, honey, look, it's a UFO." And I'm thinking,
Okay,
what's a
now
UFO?
how old were you, and what year was this?
I was 7, and it was in the 70s.
Okay, so we're talking what, mid to late 70s?
Yeah, about 77, 78.
Oh, so right at the birth of the new wave movement of UFO hotbed shit, huh?
Yeah.
Like 77 to what is it, 85? There were how many fucking books and movies filmed about that shit?
Oh yeah, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, dude, that's a badass movie. Completely wrong, but yeah, it's a badass movie. I own that movie.
But yeah, I was like 7 or 8, and yeah, and that wasn't the first. That wasn't the first one. The first one I saw. I saw like maybe two or three, like a couple of months
Now,
later.
did that first one you see? Did that happen over here, or was it while you guys were out vacationing?
No, it happened over Wichita, because at the time we were living over there off of Pawnee and Victoria. Our address was like 25. Yeah, our address was 2511 South Victoria. Right off.
Oh, so you're talking just before 31st Street, past Pawnee, then?
No, I lived like down near Pawnee and K15 in the 2500 block of Victoria.
That would be over by the I-235 overpass, wouldn't it?
South City.
The same area of town, dude. Did you not know that I-35 crosses over K15 over there?
No, you said I-135. Oh, no, you said I-235.
No, I said I-135, not 235.
But yeah, it was like a saucer. The first one I saw was a saucer shape.
What direction were you looking?
Straight up. I was laying in the backseat of my parents' car, and I was looking out.
And you were headed what, south?
I don't know. Yes.
Okay, so you were headed south. What side were you? I'm just trying to verify what you were seeing, where you were seeing it. Okay, I'm not saying you didn't see it at all. Not even trying to do that.
I was looking north because we were pulling into our driveway, and I was looking.
Okay, so you were
north.
looking north. So you were looking. Did they own a station wagon or some crap?
No, they owned a 1977 Chrysler LeBaron, a big boat, basically.
A Chrysler LeBaron wouldn't have been a huge boat back then. A station wagon would have been a boat car.
It was a boat to me because I was small.
I know, but still, you can't lay down and watch out the back window of anything unless it's a station wagon back then.
Side window.
So so if you're traveling south and you're looking north, which side were you on? The left?
We were pulling into our driveway, and I was laying towards the south. My head was, and as I was setting up to get out the back passenger door.
Oh, so you literally were looking at the north. So it would have been probably how far away would you say that thing was when you were watching it? And yes, I'm okay with you approximating.
It was rough. It wasn't low, but it was. It was low enough to where you could see the lights on the bottom and the light of the cockpit. The cockpit was.
So we'll say we're gonna say less than half a mile, right?
Yes.
I mean that seems a pretty good round number because at beyond 500 feet, you may not be seeing the cockpit. And I know for a fact back then in like the early to mid 80s, if you were on Woodlawn Street and you were looking right above Boston Park and a jet flew low enough, you could see in the cockpit, you could see the pilot giving you a thumbs up. You'd only have a tenth of a second to see it, but a pilot gave me a thumbs up in a B-2 bomber back then. But we're talking like, what, 500 feet away, right? Roughly?
Yeah. Roughly, yeah.
Okay, did you see the shape of, do you know what configuration the lights were in? Were they like the typical triangle?
No, they were circular. They were going around the bottom
So there were three lights that were just spinning?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. It might sound a little stupid, but we don't have the technology to do that. Because you'd be close enough if they were using any of our kinds of propulsion, you'd hear it. But I'm guessing you didn't hear anything.
No, there was no, the sound. Normally, if you see something low, you think, okay, it's a jet, and you'll hear the jet noise, right?
Yeah, especially back in those days.
This had no noise.
If it has no noise and you're within 500 feet, which is basically like 2 or 3 blocks away, not even that, and the bottom of the lights on bottom are spinning, then there's a reason those lights are spinning, and it's not for propulsion. I mean, doesn't that sound valid to you?
Yeah, yes, that does sound valid. And
okay, and that's why I love the name Sceptical Scotsman, because I can be skeptical but not devalue anything you're saying. I'm just asking you if something sounds fair and scientific. You know what I mean?
Yes, and it kind of freaked my mom out at the time, but because she looked up and she saw the same thing I did, and according to my mom, it was suspended in place, not moving, and it was the lights were going at the bottom.
Because you could see the cockpit. Was it like the normal flying saucer crap?
Yes, and it was really the light was really bright, like a blinding light.
So kind of like one of those wannabe tack lights that shine a light for 2 miles, kind of thing.
Yes.
Like if you look into it, you will be blind. Right.
Yeah. But
okay.
It freaked my mom. It freaked my mom out. She looked at my dad. She goes, She goes, "We need to get inside the house now."
Now, if you can
And
see the cockpit from that and it's flying, you're talking. It's got to be flying. It's got to be hovering like less than 300 feet for you to see the cockpit. Was it a wide-brimmed craft?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so it had to have been like maybe a block away then. I'm doing the measurements in my head. That means this is about a block away for you to be, if it's flying low and you can see in the cockpit, it's got to be less than 100 feet high.
Yeah, it was all I know is I was 8 years old. I'd never seen anything like that before, and it freaked me the fuck out at 8 years old.
I don't doubt that. Say hi to your daughter. I can hear her in the background.
Carl says hi. Hi. Ran off and runs away.
Yeah. Well, she's what? 9 now, or about to be 9?
It should be 9 a week from today.
Man, does the time fly? But okay, now who did you see? Anybody? And what did you see in the cockpit?
That's just it. The light was so bright I couldn't see shit.
You couldn't see shit, huh? Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of this damn notification that popped up from somebody that I don't need to hear from. And they posted pretty stupid Snapchat stuff. So, okay, now that's out of the way. Sorry about that. But, okay, that was the first experience. And you said a reasonable approximation. You couldn't see what was in the cockpit. You just see the lights in the cockpit, right?
Yes, it was a blinding light.
Okay. That doesn't necessarily make a shitload of sense, but I've heard stories like that before. Mind you, you know me. I've read more books than most people read in their lifetime. And that description goes with about a third of the most popular accounts of not being close enough but seeing inside the cockpit. Those are just blinding light. The only problem there is with that is unless they can adjust their irises and pupils and can shade their eyes, unless they've got like what is it, compound pupils or compound irises, they'd be blinded too. Mind you, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just going by the science that we know now. Nothing else. Not discounting what you're saying. I'm just trying to science it in my head.
Yeah, see, like my mom told me later that night when my older brothers and older sisters were about my age, and they were living out in Park City. My older brother Scott, which is my uncle by blood, but my uncle
no
by
need in your family history.
But Scott, Carla, and Kathy were all playing in a park. Yeah, like less than let's say 30 feet from the house they were living in.
Yeah.
And my mom had stepped out on the back porch to call the kids because you could see the park from where the back porch was.
Yeah.
And she had stepped out to call the kids home for dinner. She had seen something in the sky. That she said was was the same description I gave, circular with the lights going on the bottom. And she said the only difference in deciding that we all three saw that night by our house, and then she saw earlier, when her kids were little, is there was a beam of light shooting down from the bottom of the craft into the park where her kids were playing, and the beam was she said it looked like it was like searching for something because the beam would move like a pendulum.
Yeah.
As the craft moved over the park.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what do you think they were looking? Well, and I asked my mom, I said, well, what do you think they were looking for? She says, I don't know, but she said it freaked the fuck out of me. And she said, I called the 3 kids home because she goes, I didn't know if they were looking for someone to abduct or what. She said, I just saw a saucer with a beam coming out of the bottom towards the ground, and it was sweeping in a pendulum motion as it moved.
Well, did you watch the other video I was playing where the guy talks about that ball of energy goes into his body and he regains his memory?
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I'm not saying the guy's a quack, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm not discounting his theory, but his theory or his story does match up with advanced medical stuff. Like, if you're going to fly billions, if not trillions of miles to get here, would you come just to stick an anal probe up somebody?
Only if you're a gay alien.
Well, it seems to me that the aliens that are probing and removing organs and butchering cows are more the malevolent aliens than the ones we want to run into, you know?
Yeah, they call. I've heard, like a lot of research, they call the malevolent aliens the Greys, the Gray aliens.
And all the reading I've done points the opposite way. All the research I've done points to the reptilians being nasty assholes. And the Greys are relatively benign. People are doing other stuff.
What species then? The reptilians?
What now?
I've heard there's like a lot of different species out there. There's the Greys, the reptilians, the Nordic, and so which species is it? Is it the reptilians or the Nordics?
What, that are malevolent?
Yeah.
As far as I know, they're the ones who look the most like lizards. Those ones, the reptilians seem to be the most violent. I read accounts of people who say that the reptilians are nice compared to the worst aliens, but nobody seems to be able to make it through an interview long enough to describe who's worse than the reptilians, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the alien I would fear. The ones that the reptilians are scared of, but I don't think we're advanced enough to pose enough of a threat to, or something, so that the next echelon of evil comes upon us from that, you know?
Oh, yeah, I know.
That's why when I hear alien abduction accounts, the one thing I hate is the ones that are the reenactments of hypnosis patients, and the acting is so shitty. I mean, don't you think so?
Oh yeah.
Like, did you ever Did you ever watch The Fourth Kind?
No, not yet. But I was watching this show. It was called Undisclosed. I have a membership to it. And there's one guy. He talks uh, anonymity, and his voice has changed, and he's always like in the shadow, and he belongs to this group called TSL, and it's some kind of group that's based here in the United States, and it's they teach people how to use their energy to manipulate stuff. And he was talking about the aliens, that there's a secret underground base in Antarctica, which the aliens there, they, I guess, dismantle nuclear bombs or something like that.
That doesn't make a whole lot, does it?
No. But he was talking about the races that like us and the races that hate us. And he mentioned the Greys, which he said there's a subsection of the Greys that are malevolent and don't. Yeah, he said most Greys like us. He said, but there's a subsection of them that hate us. And he said that the reptilians, who are bad, have an ulterior motive. They want to try to invade and take over the earth.
So they're kind of like, excuse me, they're kind of like the offshoot polygamous Mormon subsets.
Yeah. And he said that the most dangerous and vicious alien race is called the Nords, or people call them Nordics.
I've always heard and read that they were very peaceful
because they. He said at first they're peaceful with you at first. That's their ulterior motive. They want to gain your trust through peace, and after they gain your trust through peace, then they show their true side.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Are they trying to gain individual people's trust?
Yes.
Because to gain trust over an entire society, you have to do a lot better than that. Having camera issues?
The Nords were. Yeah. No, my lighter landed on my little mouse pad. Now, apparently the Nords, they work through our federal government. There's people in our federal government that have actually met the Nords or the Nordics.
Or so they claim, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to cast doubt. I'm just trying to be skeptical about it in a reasonable manner.
And there's rumors that the Nords they look human.
Yeah. Did you see the second video I was watching?
Question for you though.
Huh.
Since the Nords look human, do you think there's some Nords living among us today?
There could be. They would have to spend the least amount of energy to live amongst us. And if they're advanced enough to fly across billions of miles, if not trillions of miles, to come visit us, they would have to train on how to evolve like we did. They might seem awkward, but and then money, because if they're into interstellar travel, then honestly by now they've got to have gone past money, at least in the individual sense, you know.
Yeah. So I've also heard that the bad aliens are the Anunnaki.
That's a mixture of biblical esotericism matched with matched with ancient alien uh, esotericism. It's all apocryphal.
Yeah.
You can't prove stuff that happened 5,000 years ago because that record most likely does not exist. I mean, how many things do we have from 5,000 years ago that are in Egypt?
True.
But there is evidence that back when these structures existed in antiquity, there was no sand there. It was all a tropical oasis. Like they had trees, bushes, water, everything.
Wow. And I always thought Egypt was just desert.
No. At one point, they have done x-rays and all those other scans on it. Found riverbeds, evidence of forests and whatnot. A huge ecosystem living in what is now these in the desert in North Africa.
I was watching the other day. They launched this lunar probe that landed on the moon, and it's supposed to be taking water samples or looking for water
Yeah, I
samples.
heard about that.
To help out the astronauts. Yeah, to help out the astronauts that land on the moon in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they have phases. Like this is the first phase. The second phase is astronauts landing on the moon again. Third phase, they want to build a moon base.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And colonize it. Yeah, colonize it with civilians and other stuff like that. And
yeah,
they feel if they can do that, then the next logical step is they want to colonize Mars.
The problem is how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
Colonizing Mars, unless we have like an alien come down and help us out with the technology, we're not looking at being able to settle Mars or the moon for that matter in our lifetime, our children's lifetime, or our grandchildren's lifetime, maybe even our great-grandchildren's lifetime. We are that infantilely stupid with our expectation. I mean, we were expecting flying cars in 1985 by now. I mean, looking back to the future too, right?
Yeah. But no, this is not only NASA's little brainchild, but it's SpaceX's brainchild as well. And well, we both know who owns SpaceX.
Wouldn't that be Musk?
Yep. They're using his rockets to do it.
He does have the money to blow, you know?
Yeah. But He made the statement that he wants to have the lunar base colonized by 2032.
The moon being colonized is not something that's going to happen until we're old. It may not happen in our lifetime. Like right now.
Yeah, I know.
Unless we have some miracle breakthroughs, we will not see space colonization in our lifetime. We're talking. I don't think we'll see it until after we're long dead. I don't think we're going to see it until at least 2200, because we're not as intelligent as we think we are. Not as a whole. Individually, yeah, we can do anything. Like, if you go back and look at history, the groups of people that we relied on to figure problems out didn't figure them out. Like if you watch Hidden Figures, one lady did all the calculations by hand as a human computer and wasn't even acknowledged until what, 5 years after until they started changing things at NASA.
Yep, I know.
I realize the movie make it seem a lot faster, but it's a movie.
Yeah. And just like that movie Fire in the Sky, the Travis Walton story.
You lost me there.
When he was abducted by aliens.
I normally don't watch alien abduction movies.
I watched it when it first came out, and that was like back in the 90s. That's when it came out. It came out back in the 90s.
I don't remember it. Was it like an Eric Roberts movie or something?
Can you see them eating?
It had quite a it had like a little all-star cast in it. I can't remember who all was in it, but it was based on the story of Travis Walton. Him and his brother and some friends were loggers out. I think it was in Arizona or something like that. Arizona, California, something like that. They were loggers, and they were finishing up a logging job, and they were driving home, and they noticed something big and bright and colorful in the tree line.
Yeah.
And Travis got out, went to investigate. He got zapped and basically taken it up in the spaceship. He was missing for like 5 days.
Yeah.
And everyone thought he was dead. And then he'd called his fiance or something, and they did all types of experiments. Apparently, the aliens did all types of experiments on him and everything else. And it was actually a pretty good movie for the time.
It sounds kind of like a B-Wave movie.
Hang on, he had to go check on Callie.
Okay.
Are you done? Okay, well, go put your knife and fork in there when you're done. See? Fork and plate. Okay, now that somehow the wife wanted me to go do a check on the kid while I'm in the middle of podcasting. All right. That movie, I could have swore there was a movie that either starred this guy named with the last name of Sweeney who did it, or Eric Roberts back in the 90s.
I know Eric Roberts was in the movie, but he wasn't the star of the movie. I think it was I can't remember. I think it was Sweeney or something like that.
Some dude with the last name is Sweeney, right?
Yeah.
That sound about accurate?
Yeah, I mean it wasn't a bad movie for the time.
We are talking about the 90s, back when they tried to make X-Men a series before it was ready to be a series, right? Live action series of that. Because I remember the first X-Men series they tried to make, and it flopped horribly. They ended up making it in Canada, and then tried to air it here. It made it like 3 episodes, and they canceled it. Ironically enough, Fox was the one who canceled
it. Shit. Well, this world's going to hell in a handbasket. I was sitting here watching the results for the South Carolina primary.
Yeah, I know. I've read up the breaking news. I'll look it up when I get off from here.
Trump won it.
No, they've announced him as being the winner. He hasn't won shit.
Well, 90% of the votes in, and he's way ahead of freaking what's her name?
And you're jumping the gun by reporting it like they did. I mean, this is a problem with the media and a lot of reporting. You're jumping the gun until all of the vote is counted, including delayed voting, absentee balloting. You have to include all that, and that doesn't start at 7 p.m.
Yeah, I've noticed that with them. Once he gets up in the lead, they just declare him the winner.
No, he declares himself the winner. It's I won. Everybody to vote. Everybody, all the votes that mattered are counted. No. He wants to be the winner before anybody has a chance to catch on that there's more votes to be counted. But we're talking UFOs, remember? Now, do you think there's life? Do you think there's life in the universe other than ours, like extraterrestrial?
Yeah, I believe there's life out there somewhere in other universes, and more than likely, if they're more advanced than us, they probably could give a shit less what we think of them, or we're just like freaking peasants to them.
Okay, now here's a intriguing thought. If we are only wholly alone in our immediate area, let's say within 3 solar systems of ourselves, we're the only life there. Once you get past that point, there are civilizations all around. There are neighbors bumping into each other.
Yeah.
Could you buy into that?
Yeah. Actually, I could buy that.
And no, I'm not being fantastical about it. It's literally like it's going with logical reasoning.
Yeah, because apparently, I was watching the Science Channel earlier today, and they actually found a planet. Mind you, it's about 5 light years away from us.
Yeah,
and it mirrors Earth.
It might. I don't know. But like so far, what our issue is in a microcosm of the problems we have. We sent Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And they're now the farthest distance. They're the farthest distanced objects made by human hands in history, which is not really impressive, considering we should have shot a couple different rockets since then. They should have passed the Voyager probes. And one, I believe that it's Voyager 1 made it past the heliopause. And so they are literally out in bare naked space, interstellar fucking space. They're not in the solar system anymore. They're beyond us, which makes you wonder how odd space is when it can travel faster than the solar system in the direction the solar system is moving, right?
Yeah.
And I can't remember the calculation, but I think it said like the next, by the time it reaches the next habitable solar system, will be something like, it'll be the Voyager 1 will be a piece of junk. It's just a dead hunk of metal that's barely flying faster than our solar system. And it would essentially take like 20,000 years to reach the next solar system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're doing all these old school algorithmical tests. And personally, I would have loved to have seen a spacecraft, another probe launched in the 90s or even the 2000s, because with the technology we have now versus the 1970s, that probe would have already passed the Voyager probes up.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was watching the science. Well, I was watching on the Science Channel today, and this physicist said that he believes by the year 2050, or between 2050 and 2060, he believes that we will be able to actually develop the first warp engine.
The problem with that is figuring out the fusion and fission mechanics of space travel.
Yeah.
Because you're talking right now, as of this moment, warp drive realistically is looking like 23rd and 24th century technology, and because according to Star Trek lore, right now we would be in the middle of World War III, and the human population decreasing by 2/3 because of it. And that's when Zephyr and Cochrane invents warp drive. Realistically speaking, right at this very moment, if we did end up falling into a World War III situation, I don't think we'd see the end of it until like 2200s. I don't think we're going to see.
Oh, shit.
I don't think we're going to see warp drive until 23 or 2400. Period. And that's the rate. That's even at the rate we're going, because we're now getting to the point where it's privatized low Earth orbit space exploration, which it's not. It's a bunch of rich people who want to go up in the weightlessness area of space and claim they saw space, which they did, but they weren't in space. They were still in Earth's gravity, which doesn't qualify. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Are you talking about the Jeff Bezos thing that he does for all the rich Uber freaking people, where he takes them up to the
billionaires
edge of
who can afford every damn thing?
No, I mean, I hate to burst his bubble, but he might not. He might be careful, because look what happened to the Titan submersible. A bunch of rich billionaires going down to view the Titanic, and then the submersible imploded.
Yeah, the problem is you've got a bunch of billionaires who are willing to skimp on safety, and Jeff Bezos isn't doing that.
I mean, look at James Cameron. Yeah, look at James Cameron. He even knocked that submersible. Apparently, he's been down to the deepest part of the Mariana Trench in a submersible that he helped design. That would survive the depths of something like Titanic. and he went down to the Mariana Trench in it.
I think you're misremembering and exaggerating a little. I know he went down to the Titanic and looked at it himself in a submersible, which was designed to carry him. I get that.
Well, he's went on record said that he's also been down to the Mariana Trench.
I'm not going to buy that. The Marianas Trench is not on that side of the planet.
Yeah, well, according to James Cameron, he's been all over the world, and he's been down to the Mariana
When you make a
Trench.
$1 billion movie, movie studios don't care where you go, how long you spend doing it. If you come up with another $1 billion movie, shit, give it to you, right? But
yeah,
as far
he's
as
made the comment that he's been down to the Mariana Trench and
don't care. What I am concerned with, as far as the submersible goes, you had a bunch of rich people who were willing to cut corners to make their underwater dreams come true.
Stop.
They weren't doing it for the joy of exploration. They were being pissant daredevils. They were being adrenaline junkies, right?
Yeah, and the 19-year-old that died in the implosion tried to talk his dad out of going. He really didn't want to go, but he wanted. He knew his dad wanted to go see the Titanic, so he thought if he went along with his dad, it would make his dad happy. Even
And
though
again,
his,
like they've pointed out in various documentaries and interviews, the submarine wasn't built up to snuff. I mean, the guy who paid for it all, well, it's built up to my standard. No, it wasn't. He rushed construction. It wasn't built properly. It was built in a big fucking hurry because he wanted to start a multi-billion-dollar business, letting rich fuckers go down there and look at the Titanic. He rushed. He cut corners. He used substandard materials,
carbon fiber.
Well, the guy who, one of the engineers who built it or who designed it, said that it wasn't built properly. Like, he went in to inspect it, and even he was like, "What did you do? You fucked it up." Because you're supposed to have at least a double hull, if not a triple hull.
Yeah.
And they had a single hull made out of carbon fiber with a little bit of structural support to it. That's not a... You're talking... What, 3 tons of pressure per square inch?
Yep.
Carbon fiber can stand a lot, but that's beyond its crush depth. If you ding it, if an animal hits the fucking thing, it crushes like a beer can. Because you're amplifying whatever that creature is that dings the hull, times up by like 32,000 times. That's like hitting a carbon fiber bike wheel with a sledgehammer as hard as you can when you're a 380-pound construction worker. You're going to break that damn wheel, right?
Yeah.
And they were beyond crush depth. I think it was by, 1,000 feet or some crap?
Yeah, they found the wreckage to it about a mile off of Titanic's bow.
Yeah. But, getting back to space here. Let's not get hooked on a submarine. Now, a question I want to pose to you, because I'm going to have to wrap this up. We're going on 2 hours and 19 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, do you believe in extraterrestrial life, right? Life not here on Earth, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, given that, space flight, UFOs, all this crap, here's a significant question to ask you. Given the presence of UFOs, aliens, and all this other stuff, looking at society as a whole, all over the world, would you come here and let yourself publicly be seen and known?
No.
And why is that?
I got to go back to that one George Carlin skit. Yeah, I think we would be an embarrassment to them because of all look what's going on in our freaking society. We've got violence, we've got women beating on men, men beating on women, and it's a whole bunch of shit. And if these aliens are so highly advanced, more advanced than us, and they might think of us as either primal or Neanderthals. If they're sitting back and viewing us, like, look at this race right here. They're violent. Do we really want to show ourselves to them? They might kill us and eat us.
Okay, now I believe there is life among the stars, other than us. And looking at society as a whole, I mean, individually, on the individual basis, like an alien comes and visits me, I can see the alien revealing himself to him or herself revealing themselves to me personally. I can see that. It's going to take a little adjustment, but it's possible. Our society here in like Wichita, Kansas, where we live, where you and I live,
yeah,
you would have more people pulling out guns trying to shoot the fucking UFO, trying to shoot their spacecraft and kill them because they think it's invaders from Mars. And society worldwide as a whole, we're not ready to meet aliens because we're too fucking dumb as a society. It's automatically, did you come in peace or did you come take us? If they have the technology for interstellar travel and keeping their bodies in one piece while traveling at insane speeds, why would we be a threat to them? At best, we're a fucking source of proteins and minerals, as is our planet.
And amusement.
And that's the worst case scenario. They come here to harvest our fucking organs, our proteins and minerals, and then they go ahead doing the same thing to our planet. And I don't believe if they're going to come all the way to do that, they wouldn't give us a warning. It'd be like, okay, here we are, boom, done. Human race gone. Collect what we want for the fucking planet. Boom, we're good.
Like Independence Day.
Yeah, but honestly, we're talking War of the Worlds kind of harvesting instead of Independence Day harvesting. Because Independence Day harvesting wasn't very good. Even you'll admit that. War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, even that piece of shit. That harvesting is much more likely than Independence Day. Because Independence Day didn't make any fucking sense as far as harvesting us for our resources. You would melt all of us down for our basic proteins or whatever you needed from our bioorganic matter, and then peel our planet the fuck apart, taking every goddamn available resource there is, right?
Right.
I mean, we're not talking we're not talking violence for violence sake. We're talking, okay, we don't need you. Peel your skin suit off, flick you aside. Let's rape your planet. Your planet will be the size of a walnut by the time we're done harvesting from it. That's what I would be worried about. But for those aliens who do, I don't think a malevolent race would come here and do that because we are a fucking pea-sized planet compared to other planets. Even the other planets in the Goldilocks zone. In other systems, like Earth is. We are fucking tiny. Like, I think they found a planet that's like 19 times the size of Earth. And it appears to have all the same qualities as Earth. It's like 100,000 light years away from us or some crap. But it's 19 times the size of Earth. And it's in the Goldilocks zone. So they figure it's containing life. And maybe it has oceans, plants, all this other crap. The problem is, if they're more advanced than we are, we stand no chance against them. So my estimation is because we're such a tiny planet. I mean, in most of the movies, we're a pretty populous planet at well over 1 billion people. We're like 3 or 4 billion people, which we're not up to yet. And, you know, Star Trek, Star Wars, all these other planets are like, well, these planets are inhabited, but not by much. There are only a few 100 million beings. That's not an advanced race. An advanced race would be more like Coruscant, where there are billions, if not trillions, of people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So coming to a planet where we're already trying to harvest everything we can out of our planet for idiotic reasons, to make the rich richer for one. We are a planet of, what, just over 8 billion people as of the last, 2 months, right? Something like that?
Yeah. Yep.
A planet with 8 billion people on it, or so it's thought. We're raping our own planet of resources because everybody wants to be rich and own their own business and all this other crap. Are we really worth dicking with, or is it more likely aliens are just watching, spending time with us in our own society, and watching us destroy ourselves and our planet?
Probably just sitting back watching us destroy our own selves.
And see, that's my theory. Is I think if they're going to be malevolent, there's no need to be malevolent. We're already fucked in the head. We still let child molesters out of jail. We let murderers fucking live. And you know, if somebody's high on marijuana, apparently in here in the U.S. especially, it's you were smoking the devil's lettuce. You need to go to prison. I'm pretty sure on their world they get high as shit too. But we don't know. But since we're at the 2 hour 27-minute mark, I'm going to let you go and get the hell off here myself. For everybody watching on YouTube, please share, like, and subscribe. Here's the peace symbol as you were looking for. I hope this gets more views. I don't know, but this was certainly a very weird thing. I think the next one I'm going to do on this channel is probably going to do with Trump, because I just love hating on Trump and Biden equally. You take care, man.
You now know you can play now you know you can play a video of Trump bashing on your channel now.
I can also do that with Biden too, and I intend on using that ability because it's very useful tool. Yep, you peace out, man. Have a good night.
Peace out, too.
Yep. Okay, y'all have a great night. Please share, like, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. I'm hoping this goes well. Let me know if you liked it. Leave comments, likes. Hopefully get a few more subscriptions. But remember, above all else, I am not monetized. I'm not making money from you watching this video. I just enjoy it. I want to get the webcam to make better podcast videos. So y'all keep it real and peace out. Oh, now to figure out how to do this.